The former Queen Sofia of Spain is very popular among Spaniards as well as in her native Greece. She has the noblest ancestry in all of Europe. However, she had a hard childhood, a difficult marriage, and a sad old age. How does Queen Sofia live after the scandalous abdication and flight from the country of her husband, former King Juan Carlos of Spain? How has she managed to survive exile, poverty, and her husband's infidelities? Watch the full video to find out. Let's get started. Spaniards tend to make fun of their former king, Juan Carlos. According to various sources, he had between 1,500 and 5,000 mistresses during his lifetime. But his wife, Sofia, enjoys unquestioned authority among her countrymen. This is truly fantastic because she is not Spanish by birth. Before becoming queen, the girl had to endure many hardships. When she was young, she never thought she'd be Queen of Spain. If there were a contest for the most noble ancestors in the world, Sofia would probably be in the top 10. Her direct ancestors include the kings of Great Britain and Denmark, as well as the emperors of Russia and Germany. Most of her royal relatives came from Greece, where she was born in 1938. Sofia's father was Crown Prince Paul, the future king. The girl was expected to have a happy childhood and a bright, trouble-free life. Instead, little Sofia had to eat grass and live among rats. In 1941, Greece was invaded by Hitler. Sofia's parents, along with the rest of the royal family, were forced to flee the country. First, they fled to Egypt, then to South Africa, where Sofia's father had no access to the family money. The hereditary aristocrats huddled in squalid, rat-infested shacks. They were forced to subsist on herbs gathered by the roadside. This went on for 5 years. Only at the end of the war did the family return home, and a year later Sofia's father was proclaimed King Paul I of Greece. After graduating from college, the princess's strict mother, Queen Frederica, sent Sofia to work as a nurse in a maternity hospital. Because of her royal background, the princess was only supposed to work day shifts. But against her parents' wishes, Sofia went on duty and worked nights, on a par with her commoner colleagues. Despite her strong inner core, the princess was very shy. Her mother, on the other hand, was characterized by power. It was she who chose a husband for her daughter. As you may have guessed, he was a Spanish prince, Juan Carlos de Bourbon. The young Greek princess met the future king of Spain during a Mediterranean cruise in 1954. Sofia and Juan Carlos were just 16 years old at the time. At such a young age, they did not impress each other. However, the princess's mother did not give up her efforts to marry her daughter to a Spanish prince. 6 years later, they met again, and 2 years after that, they got married. Apparently, the romantic Sofia fell in love with the spectacularly handsome Juan Carlos. But the prince almost immediately began to treat this marriage as a dynastic one. Immediately after the wedding, he began to cheat on his young wife. The love affairs of Juan Carlos are the stuff of legend in Spain. According to biographers, the number of his mistresses numbered in the thousands, and the number of illegitimate children goes to dozens. A year after the wedding, in 1963, Sofia gave birth to her husband's daughter Elena. 2 years later, her sister Christina was born. And in 1968, the heir to the throne, Philip, was born. After that, Juan Carlos thought that the goal was achieved and finally cooled to his wife. In 1975, after the death of Spanish dictator Franco, the monarchy was restored in Spain and Juan Carlos became king. Sofia was proclaimed queen, but her personal life was so unbearable that she seriously considered divorce. In fact, the couple no longer lived together, maintaining only the appearance of a happy family. But the divorce was prevented by Sofia's mother, Frederica. A year before these events, the monarchy in Greece ceased to exist. The last Greek ruler, Constantine II, Sofia's own brother, was forced to flee the country. Frederica, the former queen of Greece, could not allow her daughter to lose the crown as well. So she insisted on preserving the marriage. After much hesitation, Sofia decided not to leave Juan Carlos and sacrifice her personal happiness. The woman did everything she could to become the perfect queen. She never once publicly accused her husband of treason and concentrated on improving the lives of her subjects. However, it was difficult to win the love of the Spaniards. To do so, a woman of Greek descent had to become more Spanish than the Spaniards themselves. Immediately after her marriage, Sofia converted from Orthodoxy to Catholicism. The queen was active in social affairs. The foundations that worked under her leadership helped millions of people through difficult times. She launched a number of programs to rehabilitate the disabled and drug addicts. Sofia organized a number of institutions of higher education, including music schools. Sometimes she had to adapt to the circumstances. As you know, bullfighting is very popular in Spain. Because of her humanist views, Sofia cannot tolerate it, but she has never said so publicly. The subjects are well aware of the queen's attitude towards bullfighting, but they do not condemn her for it. Some of Sofia's peculiarities serve as a good joke for the Spaniards. People say, "Our queen is almost perfect, but she has 3 faults. She doesn't like bullfighting, soccer, or flamenco. She also doesn't like restrictions on personal freedom." This trait was on full display in 2004 when her son and heir to the throne decided to get married. Philip's choice was a simple girl, a TV presenter named Leticia. King Juan Carlos was strongly opposed to this marriage. Not only had his son fallen in love with a commoner, but she had a bad reputation. The father almost succeeded in stopping his son's marriage, but Sofia intervened. She saw that Philip sincerely loved the girl and thought that this was enough for happiness. The queen persuaded her husband to accept her son's choice. The marriage turned out to be successful, and the newlyweds named one of their daughters Sofia. But there are rumors that relations with her daughter-in-law are still strained. On the camera of journalists caught footage when Leticia did not let Sofia be photographed with her granddaughters. In 2014, King Juan Carlos began to have problems. He was exposed for corruption and a scandalous elephant hunting trip, which the monarch took during the financial crisis in Spain. Perhaps the accusations could have been hushed up, but the monarch's authority had already been undermined by his numerous affairs and idle life. The king had to abdicate in favor of his son Philip and even left Spain. Sofia was stripped of her highest title. She was left with the title of Queen Emerita, but it was rather nominal. Despite all the pain her husband caused her, she did not renounce the monarch who lost power and title. She regularly visits him in Abu Dhabi, where he lives in exile, and tries to give him moral support. Sofia has won many titles in her 80-plus years, but of all the roles she has played in her long and successful life, grandmother seems to make her the happiest. The former queen has 8 grandchildren. Despite her advanced age, she continues her active life and has no plans to stop. The Queen Emerita Sofia is involved in charity work, organizes exhibitions and classical music concerts with the best musicians in the world. Sofia's fate is a clear example of how duty to society is stronger than the desire for personal happiness. What do you think of this beautiful woman's hard life? Write in the comments. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. See you soon.